Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hard Nine podcast. I am Mike Noble, and as always, I'm joined there in a dungeon somewhere in the Midwest by Caleb Noble. Thank you all so much for joining us. Today is July 13th, 2023. Tomorrow, baseball resumes as the Cardinals kick off essentially the second half, 11 and a half games back in the NL Central.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for the next few weeks here. Not because I think the Cardinals are going to go on a 14-game winning streak to get them back to 500, which if you want any kind of, I guess, idea of where they are right now, that's what it would take to get back to 500. So they're done. Season's over. But I am really excited to see where they go in the trade deadline because I think we've never seen Mo in an advantageous position, really, where it's, hey, let's go sell these guys in a very thin market. I think they're gonna get a lot more than a lot of people think for what they're gonna be trading. And I'm excited to see what they go after.
It does appear based off of social media that everyone is in the same belief system as you are and as you just talked about right there. That has to be the hope. And to be fair, you and I talked about at the beginning of this year. Actually, to be fair, we talked about at the end of the season, the pressure was on Mo and the front office to go get something done for 2023. They got Contreras, whatever. All right. We were happy with that move. No problem there. Then you talked extensively about how the pressure was on the front office and Mo to make the right decisions leading through spring training, into the season, and throughout the season. They have not. They
decided to not make any decisions and keep everybody.
There are many instances of literally the worst decisions of all time. We have looked at this, honestly, it's funny going back and looking at my past social media. This is something that's been going on really since 2015. So now you can say, I would love to say the pressure is on Mo. We're going to get to those comments and Martin Kilcoyne, who did a fantastic job with his interview in a little bit. But I don't know that the pressure is on Mo because Bill DeWitt sure doesn't feel like there's any pressure on Mo. But I definitely believe that the fan base will put that pressure on Mo.
I think a big part of why I believe we're going to get into it, like we said, Mo's comments. Maybe we should start there. That's kind of the biggest thing that's come out of
that's absolutely where we should start. We haven't played any games.
We'll get to his comments in a second, but just as an overall thing, I think if Mozeliak cares about anything, which he does care about winning, I don't understand the people that believe he doesn't care about winning. I don't agree with that, or else I don't think he'd be doing this for as long as he's doing it. Like, I think there is a gratification to trying to be a successful front office exec, which he has been. I don't think Mozeliak wants to go out with everyone in St. Louis having a very sour taste in his mouth. From all accounts, he's got 2 more years left after this year, and then he's done. At least in St. Louis, or at least in this role in St. Louis. I would doubt, and I don't know him, but I would doubt that he wants to go out with everybody saying, wow, what a failure every year has been really since 2019, which we can all kind of look at and say 110-run inning, like that's never happened before, got them to the NLCS where they got swept and outclassed. So I do think, I don't know if there's a lot of pressure on him necessarily, but I do think he's going to be motivated to get something done. I hope.
Here is to add to that, just to make the analogy into politics, which I don't do very often. I always feel like many times politicians spend their first term trying to get reelected. So very little is done. They're appeasing everyone, whatever. When they know that the end is nigh or near, that's when a lot of shit gets done and stuff hits the fan. It is my hope that Mo sees that light at the end of the tunnel, knows that it's coming, and now he doesn't have to worry about another contract extension. He doesn't have to worry about all of that stuff. I'm not saying that he was. I'm simply saying sometimes when you've got nothing to lose, it's sort of like having it all. And
I do think it's also like,
I like that.
We talk about this a lot with athletes, like with Kobe and with Jeter and all these great athletes that when they're about to go, when they're about to leave, you gotta talk about, you don't want their last memory of them is them being a shell of themselves. You don't want that. So you got Kobe went out on the 60-point game, and that was awesome. You had Albert go out last year on, one of the most incredible runs ever. Jeter went out on the walk-off single in Yankee Stadium. It's a different thing, but I do think there is something to people want you to have a good memory of them when they leave. It's a natural thing.
we know that Mo does care about the legacy. I mean, he does care about that. He
I mean,
even
who won
mentioned
it?
in the
Who won
interview?
it?
Right. There's zero judgment, but with every job in professional sports, there's a massive level of arrogance, and there needs to be. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. However, I think you're right. So let's get into this a little bit, because I was trying to look through some stuff earlier this morning and just trying to take a look at the standings. You can't simply do it that way. But when you do look at it, you have a lot of teams right now where we sit July 13th who still believe that they have a shot to make the playoffs. And honestly, numbers wise, they do, which is going to, in 2 weeks, limit that player pool potentially of available players. And, we kind of outlined a few guys who maybe were targets in the past or whatever. But when you look, when you look at the teams that are really, really bad, the Nationals, the Rockies, the Royals, guys like that. I mean, the Royals already traded Chapman. Those teams aren't going to be big time sellers because they're building around their youth who they're playing right now. So when you look at the Cardinals and the expiring contracts, obviously we hope for Monty, for the Cardinals, for everyone involved, that injury is okay.
He says he's good.
That's a massive part of it. You got Montgomery, you've got Flaherty, you've got Jordan Hicks, who I know we'd love to have back, but that's also a piece right now that we've seen what the Rangers are doing in their bullpen. Like, other teams are going to need to do that. There you go.
Ranger.
There you go. Like, I mean, we see what they're doing. You just look around the league. You've got so many teams that are still within striking distance that I don't think are going to be sellers. The Cardinals, like you said, find themselves in a unique position as the Cardinals, but also a unique position maybe in all of Major League Baseball with 5 or 6 pieces that are going to be coveted and can almost create a bidding war when in other years maybe wouldn't.
Yeah, I think it was there's never a good year to be as shit as they've been. And I don't use that lightly. They've been absolutely dreadful, almost like horrible to watch. Me, when during the 2021 season, when they were awful, I was watching every game. There's been some games here I haven't watched just because I don't want to. The other night when the White Sox came back and beat them after they took a 5-0 lead, I was just laughing like a psychopath on my couch. Like, it was awful. So I think it's a good year for them to be in this situation, I guess is what I'm trying to say. The only thing that sucks is, once again, you're wasting another year of Nolan, another year of Goldie, your first year of Wilson, the last year of Waino. There's a lot of things getting wasted here. Your last year of Jack and Monty. They wasted a lot of things, and they should be answered for that. And I do want to say, they need to sell. And I'm glad Mozeliak came out, like we're going to talk about, and said, we're looking for 2024, 2023. We're not punting on it, but we're not building for that anymore. Good, he shouldn't be. But I also don't think it should be acceptable for this organization, after drawing 3.3 million fans, having as good of a core as they have, and having as many good free agents out there as there were. It shouldn't be accepted. We shouldn't just have to accept that this is where they're at. Now, they need to go and change it, but I am really pissed off that they got in this situation. Mostly not even because this year, this was brewing for a long time, because the last 3 offseasons they've been quiet, because almost everybody they've signed in free agency has been a massive dud. And while I love Wilson Contreras, and I think he's going to be a really good Cardinal, that still to this point has been a shit show. That contract has been a mess, and mostly because of how they've handled it. So I don't like that they're in this position. I don't think they should be in this position. And I think that Mozeliak, DeWitt, and everybody in that front office should be heavily scrutinized for the fact that they are in this position. I'm glad they've accepted where they are.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, we'll say it again. I think they are in a massive spot, because I told you, I guess maybe a couple of podcasts ago, I'm concerned that the future could look very bleak if they don't get this right, because I don't know if we talked about this or just you and I talked about it, or if we talked about it on the last podcast. But right now, going into 2024, you have 110 mil already allocated to 5 guys. That's not good. When you also look at the teams who are winning,
Contreras, Goldie, and Nolan. Who? Miles.
Contreras, Goldie, Nolan,
Miles,
Max.
Yeah, he's 11 mil. That's nothing. But yeah,
I'm just saying though, that's 110 million in 5 guys, right?
That's not bad to have that as your core, honestly. Like, look at some of the other teams.
Big number, Caleb. That's a big number.
It's a big number, but look at the Padres. Look at the Padres.
I'm not looking at other teams. I'm looking at the.
You know what I'm saying, though?
Because 182, let's say feasibly they go up to 190, you're going to have to get some guys back that can help you in 2024 that are low contract. I was looking, they're like 5th or 6th, maybe. I don't remember the number. I can look at that here in a minute. In money allocated to starting pitching. They have like the fourth worst starting pitching in
top
baseball.
5.
Yeah. You can't win like that. You have to develop from within. You have to have young, controllable, salary, low payroll starting pitching to win. I mean, the only team that's an anomaly on there, honestly, is the Rangers, and that's because they spent so damn much money on Jacob deGrom and Nathan Eovaldi.
And John Gray. And those guys have worked. Those guys have been really good. You'd be fine if your pitchers are. He was really good. You know what I mean? Like Eovaldi and Gray have been great. I have a take, and I don't know. This is a little strange, and then we're going to get into specifics with Mo because I do think it's important to talk about what he actually said. But my take.
Hold on, before you do that, I'm so sorry. I just wanted to add Gallegos is also on that list. I'm sorry. I just wanted to get that in there.
Another guy who I think
another guy
traded
could agreed. I just wanted to get that out there. Sorry.
My take is if there's not a trade that happens where a guy that is traded from the Cardinals hurts you, where it's like, oh, I really didn't want to give up that guy. It's a failed trade deadline. They need to trade someone big. And I'm not talking Goldie. I'm not talking Nolan. I'm not talking Wilson. Those guys aren't going anywhere. We'll get in that later because, God, I'm pissed off. But if one of Tommy, Gorman, Donovan, one of those 3 needs to be gone. Dylan Carlson, Newpar's not going anywhere. O'Neill, one of those or both need to be gone. I think they need to trade 6, 7, 8 guys. The way that they've constructed this team isn't working. It's not going to work. You have too many guys. You don't know they don't know where they're playing on any given day. You need pitching. You have a good enough offense. And the thing that makes me really angry is that they built this awesome offense. And because they've been so bad at developing pitching, at drafting pitching, go look at their first round pitching picks. They're awful. Awful picks. Jake Woodford, Dakota Hudson, Zach Thompson, awful picks. Zach Thompson can be a great reliever. Not with the first round pick, he shouldn't be. They've done a horrible job at that. But I think if they don't trade someone where the fan base, half of it may be a little angry, then they're not going to get something to help you for next year. So I think one of those guys needs to go, or 2.
I completely understand it. I'm going to say something that you're not going to agree with, and I'm okay with that. I think Lars Nootbaar is tradable. I don't understand.
He can't be, Dad. You don't have outfielders.
I understand that, but he legitimately has a 740 OPS. He has 5 home runs. He has 0 power anymore. 0 power.
Well, he's been hurt too.
I understand that, but so is Dylan Carlson. In my mind, Lars Nootbaar falls right in the Dylan Carlson line.
No, he doesn't, Dad. No, he doesn't.
Okay, this is what's got us in trouble in the past. Is saying these guys that we fall in love with and we see what we hope that they can be. And then we don't deal them. And before you know it, they have 0. Dad. Hold on, let me finish. They have 0 trade value. Tyler O'Neill is one of those guys right now who a team might take a flyer on for a year. He doesn't have massive trade appeal. Lars Nootbaar.
I do think. Appeal. I don't. Who's your outfield, Dad? Next year, if you're trying to win 2024.
I'm not saying.
Well, seriously, I'm asking you the question. Who is it?
I was going to answer it.
Carlson.
I'm not saying deal all of them. I'm saying if there is a package for Lars Nootbaar that is better than a deal for Dylan Carlson, then you keep Dylan Carlson and trade Lars Nootbaar. And you've got Carlson and Walker in the outfield next year, and you can go out and you can sign
Dylan Carlson can't hit right-handed pitching. He can't be a starter in the big leagues.
Lars Nootbaar has a 740 OPS, Caleb.
He's been injured. He had a 780 last year. Dylan Carlson cannot hit right-handed pitching. You cannot pencil him in as an everyday player because he's bad 80% of the time. That's just the reality of where we're at.
I understand that, but here's what I'll also say. All right. If we're going to look at 2024 and moving forward, all right, the guy then that's going to get you a better haulback is Lars Nootbaar, because obviously the stat that you just throw out, every other team in baseball knows. So throwing Dylan Carlson into a trade is going to get you very little return.
That's not true. First off, he's a great defensive center fielder. But what I'm saying is Harrison Bader got traded with his 680 OPS for a 3-starter. So people value people differently. We don't know how they value them. But I'm not saying Dylan Carlson's going to get you that. I'm saying one of him or Tyler O'Neill, one of them needs to be gone. Clear it up. They can't be in your plans next year. Both of them. One of them can be maybe. And the guys that need to be traded, or one of the second basemen needs to be gone. Let's be honest here. Where are they going to play? If you want Mason Wynn, give Mason Wynn a clear run rate for shortstop, which is what they would have to do. I think Tommy Edmonds is the one that makes the most sense, but I don't think he's going to get you much back. And I don't think Brendan Donovan's been your best hitter for a while in the season. So I don't know what they're going to do. But my whole point is, and Lars Nootbaar's not going anywhere because he's the only guy that you actually think could be a good hitter in your outfield that can also field.
I understand what you're saying. He hasn't been. He's been
hurt. He was great
Okay.
for the first 2 months.
He wasn't.
He had like an 800 OPS for the first 2 months. Let me look at this.
Okay, that's fair.
How do I go by month? I don't even know.
That's a great question. I don't know that answer. I think you have to go to.
I think you're downplaying how
Okay.
good Lars
I
Nootbaar's
think
been. He's also
I
one of
get
the
it.
best
I
on base
love him.
percentage guys on the team.
I'm simply telling you that you can't keep hoarding all of these guys.
It's one
you just
guy.
can't.
That's what I'm saying, though. That's one guy. You can't trade any outfielders. You can't trade Lars Nootbaar. Period.
I disagree.
He's the only outfielder that you like defensively, and you like where he's projecting offensively. He's like 5th on the team in WAR, and he only has 220 at bats. Like, I don't think you can afford to get rid of him because you don't have anyone. Like, you cannot go into next year with Walker, Carlson, and O'Neill in your outfield. You're gonna be back in the situation again. You don't trust O'Neill to play. You don't trust Carlson to hit and Walker to field. You can't do that.
I guess I'm going to say the same thing about Lars. Like, he was hurt last year also at times. Like, I don't know. All I'm saying is, look, love him. Love Dylan Carlson. I'm just letting you know, not a one of them has been an all-star level performer at all. They haven't been.
I'm not saying he's untradeable in any circumstance. I'm saying he's the last guy I would try to move out of anyone that's not fair. the big fair. Three. And if it's like, okay,
where do you stand on Nolan Gorman then?
You'd have to get a guy that you're almost certain is going to be a top 2 pitcher in your rotation.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Now, he would be. I would not want to trade him. I really want it, but if they did, I wouldn't be angry. If it was it would have to be for, like Brian Wu from the Mariners, or it'd have to be for George Carver is not getting traded. I don't even think I do it. I want to do it for Logan Gilbert. Honestly, I don't like where he's trending. I think he's trending to be a more middle of the rotation guy than people expect him to be. I don't think he's ever going to be an ace.
He's been very good.
He hasn't been. He has like a 4 ERA.
Yeah, but he's been very good lately. I have him on my fantasy team. He's one
good, but he strikes out like 7
outing
guys
where he gave up. Okay, his ERA is that bad because he had one outing where he gave up like 9 runs. That's why.
Okay, I'm not. He's been better than I think. Than I thought. I'm not trading Nolan Gorman for a guy that strikes out less than 9 per 9. How about that? That can be my benchmark. Unless we're getting a guy we got to get a guy that's going to immediately be the best strikeout guy on our rotation.
In my opinion, the 4 guys you're not dealing are Goldie, Nolan, Walker, and Gorman. I'm just not dealing those 4 guys. In my opinion, everybody else is on the table. And let me tell you why. You talked about outfielders, and I know that you talked about Lars. I'm not advocating to trade Lars Nootbaar before everybody gives me all this hate, whatever. I'm simply saying, as of right now, he's just an above average baseball player. He's not elite. He's not a middle of the order type of guy. Yeah, I'm not saying he won't be. I hope that he will be.
Yeah.
What I am going to say is we just drafted a bunch of college bats who potentially could be here in 2 to 3 years. There are free agents you could sign. There are free agents you could sign in the outfield. All I'm saying is this. You also know that you can play Donovan or Edman in the outfield. If Mason Wynn is going to be your shortstop and you don't trade Tommy Edman, he can also play in the outfield.
Tommy Edman needs to be traded, I think.
Oh, no, zero argument. But like you said, probably the lowest value of all of those in a trade.
But I say that, and I also like people love Tommy Edman. If you need a shortstop, boom. If you need a second baseman, boom. If you need a center fielder, boom. Like he has a lot of value, I do believe. But like for me, Lars Nootbaar, the where it comes down to me, one, I do really like Nootbaar, so there is bias in there inherently. But I think when I look at it, who's an outfielder? Is he the only outfielder on the team right now that you think is going to long-term be an outfielder?
Well, Dylan Carlson.
For the Cardinals.
I mean, yeah, I would throw him in.
Be an everyday outfielder. Be an everyday outfielder. Dylan Carlson has been an everyday outfielder for 2 years.
That's not Dylan Carlson's fault.
Yes, it is. He can't hit right.
That's another argument.
It's his fault. It's his fault. He needs to hit. You can't just be an outfielder and not be able to hit. So for me, Lars Nootbaar is the guy I'd keep. He'd be on my untouchable list. And let's go. We're gonna have time to do this later. Eventually, we're gonna have to really break down Donovan versus Gorman, because there's a real argument that Donovan needs to be the one you keep instead of Gorman, because he has been so good,
I understand.
Like great.
I will also go back to the fact that you could keep 2 of those 3 guys because one can play the outfield, like they can. Brendan Donovan in left field is not going to hurt you. All right. I also believe there's a world where, and we said this last year, we wanted to see Nolan Gorman get some reps in the outfield in maybe fall ball or in the spring training. He didn't. I think there's also a world where you can move Nolan Gorman to the outfield. He's an athlete. He's 23. That is, he's not going to hurt you in left or right field. He's not going to hurt you out there. I truly believe that. All I'm saying is, in my mind, when you have a guy, and I know that right now we're like, had Nolan Gorman not had this slump, there would be zero discussion of him being traded. All right. That you just don't trade a guy who has Kyle Schwarber, who has a better than Kyle Schwarber ceiling. In my mind, in my mind, you just don't do that at age 23.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it would have to be this guy is for sure changing the outlook of our team for the next 5 years. Like It would have to be, there's this very short list of players I'd do it for. And even then I'd be apprehensive if they do keep him, which I think they will. I don't think they're going to trade him. He needs to be playing second base every day for the rest of the season.
I agree.
Every single day. Tommy, I mean, I love Tommy, but there's no reason to keep him on this team.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm at that point.
I also think one thing that has happened that we did not foresee happening in the 2023 year is you might get a halfway decent value back for Paul DeJong, because he does have a year of control next year. There are teams who need shortstops. All right.
Yeah, who are those teams? I haven't looked.
Well, the Dodgers could definitely probably use a shortstop.
Yeah.
All right. Definitely. I mean, there's no doubt there. I don't know. Look, let's be honest.
Padres like shortstops.
Gunnar Henderson's playing short now because Matos was rough. Mateo was pretty rough there. I'm not saying that they wouldn't even be on that list where you could play DeJong at second base or whatever. I think Gunnar Henderson, obviously with Jackson Holiday on the right, is probably going to play third or second anyway when Holiday gets up here. I think that there probably are teams like that where you could, even if you want to be creative with DeJong, Paul DeJong will not hurt you at second base. Also, it doesn't even.
He came up as second baseman.
Right. But I do think the Dodgers are a place like that. I mean, honestly, I think there's probably more. I should have done more looking at that. That's on me. I'm just simply saying I think that Paul DeJong's value. I mean, the Red Sox, are the Red Sox going for it? That's an option.
They're not.
You think they're going to be sellers?
They're fifth place in their division. And they're not even close to the other guys. They have to be at least 5 games out of the wild card. At least. Like probably 7. That would be my guess. I don't know that for a fact, but that's my guess of where they are.
The Red Sox are 2 games out of a wild card right now.
Oh, geez. Okay. Well, then we'll see. I guess. But their team is so bad.
But they're getting.
This is what pisses me off about this year.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think when you look at the teams, like if you look at the American League, you've got 5 teams in the East that are in it. Honestly, Cleveland, Minnesota, Detroit. I don't think they're going to be sellers. They're really young.
Cleveland's one. People don't like Ahmed Rosario very much.
Yeah, there you go. I mean,
so that's the team, and he'd add some power to them. I think they've actually.
I think the Cardinals' biggest competitor in deals will be the White Sox, depending on what they just determine.
I don't think so. I don't think they're going to do much. And Tim Anderson has like no value. He's been awful.
Yeah, but I was looking at guys like Giolito, who that's kind of a Jordan Montgomery only. Yeah, that's.
But here's the thing: once he's gone, if I'm the Cardinals, I'm waiting until those guys are gone, and then I'm going to be the last one with people. Like I'm gonna wait till Giolito's gone. All right, let's get to Mo.
Yeah, that's what I thought we needed to do. But
where do you want to start?
Be interesting. I'll let you kick it off with that because there was so much to digest. I watched it this morning. Let
me ask you a question.
He is so good at not really ever giving a true answer.
I thought he was more honest than he's ever been in this interview. Honestly,
I agree with that.
Did you appreciate the way Mo went about the interview, or did you think he was still holding back more than you have to hold back as the talking head for an organization?
He has to hold back, right? I can't blame him.
Yeah, I know, but did you think that it was a good interview by him? It was a great interview by Kilcoyne. He asked the best questions you could. He asked great questions, but I thought Mo was very honest in his answers, as honest as you can be in his answers. I appreciated that he admitted that they know where they are and they're going to be looking for 2024. That's the first thing I was listening for, because I swear to God, if they would have gone out and gotten Rich Hill, like the J.A. Happ of, I would be so pissed. I'm glad they have a direction. Right. One thing that did make me mad, and this is the only criticism I'll have of it, because most of it I was fine with, the injury conversation that he brought up. Idiotic, just flat out wrong. Like flat out inaccurate. Wrong. They're like towards the bottom of base. Like they've been one of the luckiest teams in baseball with injuries. I get Helsley's a big blow, and I do think you could probably swing a couple of games here and recently that they would have won if they had Helsley available. Fair. Okay, that is true. Tyler O'Neill wasn't performing at a high level nor even playing every game when he was healthy. So that was not one you can use. Waino, we saw what happened. It's almost better when he's not pitching right. Not almost. It's better when he's not pitching right now than when he is pitching. Is that it? I mean, Newpar's been on the injured list a few times, but that's, not more than you can expect. Like, they've had less injuries than you can reasonably expect coming into a season.
Correct.
And if you're going to use injuries, that just means you didn't do your job to cover yourself when there are injuries, because
Correct.
there will be injuries.
Correct.
It's not like if it was like Arenado or Goldie or both had been injured for a month at a time. Fair. That's a fair thing. Didn't happen. So
No.
I hated that. Whatever. He's kind of trying to soften the blow a little bit, I think, but it's stupid, and I hope he actually doesn't believe that.
Yeah.
The other things I thought it was interesting that he came out and said we're going to trade people. Like,
Yeah.
I thought that, and he said I don't know if it's going to be household names, which I don't know what that means, because I know you're trading Flaherty, I know you're trading Montgomery, and I know you're trading Jordan Hicks. Most baseball households know all three of those people, so I don't know what is he talking about.
I think
Goldie
that
and Nolan with
was
that. I don't.
I think
know.
that was we're not dealing Goldschmidt,
He didn't say we
Arenado.
aren't. He said I don't know if we are.
I know. Okay, let me ask you something. All right. And I know what you're gonna say, and I understand it. But I've almost changed not 180, maybe a 105. All right. I'm not all the way circled. Well, half circled. I almost think you have to explore trading Paul Goldschmidt.
Then you trade Nolan Arenado.
Is that it? Okay, so you're telling me it's got to be, but like,
yeah.
Okay, all right. I don't want to do that, and I don't really want to trade Goldie. I love him. I want him to
trade Gold
here. It's one of those things that I almost think you have to look at. Like, I really
Ask
do.
you a question. Okay,
yeah.
let's. I'm glad you have this opinion, because I vehemently disagree with it. But we can have hold on. Let's unpack this. Okay, let's unpack this. Do you want to win in 2024?
I don't think that this team can win in 2024.
You don't know. I mean, let's go through this hypothetical of they trade and they get one. Let's just say one starting pitcher that's going to be above average, better than anyone we have right now, other than Monty, maybe, for your rotation next year, a young guy. You go sign one, and then you have, Tink Hits might be up at some point next year. You're going to have guys that might be ready next year. And then you might have a pretty solid, there's a chance you can have a solid rotation. And then your offense is good enough, we know that, to win. Like, you can turn this thing around quick. Look at the Diamondbacks. Look at the Marlins. Like, no one thought the Marlins were going to do this year. So you can turn it around quickly. But if you're doing that, then why are you keeping Nolan?
Those
for his
teams,
age 35 season?
You just mentioned have done it from within their farm system.
No, they haven't.
The Marlins most definitely have.
The Marlins have like 0 people in their starting lineup from their farm system.
I'm talking about through the pitching. All right, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes, but they also have, their problem's been offense, and they've turned it around a little bit from signing Gene Segura, from signing guys like that. Gene Segura is a bad example, but Jorge Soler, guys like that.
I'm going to say this, and I'm just going to be honest about it. I don't think the Cardinals, even next year, if they make a great trade for a pitcher, and let's say they sign up Blake Snell, all right, that would be my. Or Yamamoto would be my number one target. Seems like the Cardinals, watching the All-Star game, that's what I want to talk about in a little bit too. They have why are we so bad in the international market? Because those are the guys that are doing fucking everything in baseball right now. But either way, I don't think the Cardinals can even sniff the Atlanta Braves jock for the next 3 to 5 years.
That's not the point, though. Like, well, that's to me, that's we know how the playoffs work, Dad.
I know.
Like, the Phillies can't sniff.
I know.
The Phillies couldn't sniff their jock last year, and they still lost to them in 5 games.
That's fair. That's fair. But the Cardinals have not been that team who've just gotten in and won. They haven't been.
The Phillies hadn't made the playoffs in 15 years before that. So
that's not
the
true.
point.
They won 2 World Series.
In 2009.
Won 1 World Series. Went to 2.
Or 2008. They hadn't made it, and they had the longest streak in the National League of not making the postseason before that. So my point is, if you're going for 2024, you keep Goldie, because who are you going to get that's better than him? There's no one you can get for the Goldie's value. He's an MVP, still playing at an extremely high level. He should have been an All-Star. We went over that last episode. But if you're not playing for 2024, which they said they are, so they're not trading him. But if they're not, then what do you play? Then what are you keeping Nolan for? Is the age 35 season?
Yeah, those are
like 3 years down the road.
And please let me also speak. I'm not saying we should trade him. I'm just saying I think you have to listen to offers is all I'm saying.
I don't.
Okay. All right. And
why do you have to listen?
I probably honestly agree with you. To be fair, right now, I'm just so frustrated with the way that the organ is. Like, let's be fair. We're all mad at Mo, but I think there's a massive disconnect at the top with Bill DeWitt Jr. I think there's a massive problem right there.
Yeah.
I mean, they outlined, people brought it back up because of the All-Star game, his disconnect and understanding why to sign Fernando Tatis Jr. or Luis Robert or get involved in the international market, which, like I said, if anybody watched the All-Star game, I mean, the international players are
Watch the home
running
run
the
derby.
major leagues right now, and we have 0 of them.
Watch the home run derby. They're all international signings.
Now, the argument would be you had 2
Two of
and
them
you
we
could have
had.
had
2 of
4.
them we had.
Right. So why do we
That's
not?
fair.
Why do we not keep them? And why are we not more active in the international market?
I don't want to talk about Randy and Adolis because
I'm happy for them.
It is what it is.
I'm happy that they went somewhere,
players.
got an opportunity that our organization was not going to give them, and turned themselves into not just great ball players, all-star level and elite baseball players right now. That I am so happy for them. I'm happy for Sandy. I'm happy Zach Gallen getting ready to start the All-Star game. We have no idea what those guys would have done here. That's the problem. Is it feels like we don't give the right guys always the opportunity, which does make you question a lot of things.
Well, to be fair, the teams that Sandy went to, that Gallen went to, that Adolis went to, those 3 teams could afford to give them that opportunity.
100% agreed.
That's the hard part. Agreed. That's the hard part of being a team that tries to win every year. Because I get that we can say, well, they don't do as much as we want them to do. That's true. But they still do try to be in contention every single year. The Rangers were bad for how long? The Diamondbacks traded us their superstar and ended up getting Zach Gallen and gave an opportunity. And then obviously the Marlins are just a shit show almost all the time. So it is fair to say that the Cardinals can't afford to let Sandy Alcantara or Zach Gallen or Adolis Garcia struggle. Like, you can't let him struggle for 3 months and say it's fine because we're not trying to win. Like, the Cardinals have never been able to do that. The problem is they've let other guys do it that aren't becoming Adolis Garcia, like a Dylan Carlson, like a Tyler O'Neill.
Carlson, O'Neill over a Rosarina, who, by the way, was setting the world on fire in Memphis. Brought him up. Mike Schilt did not want to play him for some reason. Garcia then...
He played Jairo Munoz in the outfield.
Yes, Garcia gets to AAA, kills it. They don't want to bring him up. We're seeing the same thing with Gomez at AAA. I'm not saying he's your answer. I'm saying we don't know.
A 780 OPS.
Yeah, AAA. Right. He's slacked off. We bring
Lucas like 37
up,
homers.
Play him. Like that's it's. Well, I'm just saying though, this is an every year sort of thing, and then Lane Thomas was the same way. And to be fair, you and I were big Lane Thomas fans from the jump, but he wasn't great here. But he also wasn't given. He was
awful.
I agree. And he wasn't given regular time when anybody slumped. I mean, Colton Walls talked about this. Randall Grichuk talked about this. At any slump, you know that you're going down. It's hard to win like that.
Lane Thomas had a 380 OPS in 32 games with the Cardinals.
Not arguing. I'm not.
That's almost like impossible to do.
But
that's
also
so bad.
He also had success. Also, to be fair,
and the people think there was lingering effects from COVID and stuff there. That was a weird situation. Yes, good for him though. I like Lane Thomas a lot. I'm glad.
And to be fair, I'm happy for him.
Yeah, and the bigger problem is why aren't the guys here having the same success? That's the thing they need to get to. But we've kind of gone off track again. We need to get back to Mo. What there was another thing that I really wanted to talk about that he said. He seemed. I think he reads too many things.
Yeah, I mean,
he seems very aware of the fan base, and I think that's a good thing to some extent, but also not, because I think it does give him this like he kind of disregards it. I almost think because the people on Twitter are so silly and stupid and so over the top that I do think he almost that's his gauge on the fan base, and it might make him a little bit like kind of disregard the opinions because they're so stupid and over the top, the ones he's reading. I hope that when he hears booing at Busch Stadium, a place that never boos, the only time I've ever seen it like that in my lifetime, I hope that at least does something to him to be like, this shouldn't be happening. And I really hope he's also not thinking this is a one-off. That's what I worry about. I worry that he thinks this is a fluke, because I don't believe in flukes, but also I hope he realizes this is a continuation of where this team has been trending for 7 years-ish, 8 years.
2015.
It's like they missed the playoffs 3 times after 2015 because they were great in 2015. They missed the playoffs 3 times.
That's what I'm saying.
Then,
I meant since.
Then 2019, they made it to the NLCS. We all know they really didn't have a chance. No one believed in that team to make the World Series. They got destroyed in that series. 2020, weird year, got bounced first round. 2021, bounced first round and only made it in because of a 17-game winning streak. And then 2022, Albert Pujols, and then they got swept in the playoffs, really when they shouldn't have, but that is what happened. I hope he's realizing this is a trend, not an outlier. And the one thing I do want to say is the quote that stood out to me, and then we can move on from this, is he said, what did he say? Oh, he said, this model is not working and it's not the model we're going to follow. And I like that he said that, because the biggest comment from before the season was, we're trusting our model and it's going to get tested and we'll see,
Mhm.
we'll reevaluate.
It failed.
I'm glad he realized how bad it failed and that it was the model, not, oh, well, injuries or, oh, well, fluke. No, it was your model that was shitty and it failed. I'm glad he's realizing that, because I don't know if you saw, if they don't fix this thing to a pretty decent extent, they might start next year 10-24 again, because their
Mhm.
schedule is a gauntlet in the first 6 weeks of the season.
Dodgers and
No, you better
Padres right
fix
off
this
the
fucking
bat.
thing.
Yeah.
Do you think this is the thing that's always frustrated me about them? Do you think this season is going to make them stop building a team to get to the trade deadline and build a team that is good to go and then supplementing from there for the trade deadline? Because there's no way
No.
if you have this happen, don't you think if they're like, well, now we know it's not a guarantee to get to the trade deadline with a chance to win. So maybe that makes them rethink that a little bit, because they need to get to the trade deadline
My answer is
in
no.
a good position.
And it goes back to salary, because when you look at even the people you're going to keep or whatever, you're going to have 160 million, 150 million, 140 million, somewhere in that area, 140 to 160
Less.
already allocated for
Less.
going into free agency.
I'm saying 130, probably.
After arbitration on 20 some guys? No way.
I think some of those on who though? Not 20 guys. Most guys will be first year. There's a lot of guys that are going to be still rookie contracts. I think some of those guys that are gonna get paid more money, like O'Neal, maybe Carlson. I think those guys might be gone.
I mean, they got decisions to make on Hudson, Edmonds Arb. I mean, Helsley's arbitration. These guys are all going to get raised.
We got to see what happens.
Raises.
We got to see what happens. Those guys could be gone. Some of them.
I mean, I'm just saying.
I'll say 140 range then. To be fair,
there you go. That's what I would say.
I don't see 50 mil to spend. That's 2 elite pitchers. Yeah.
No, that's one.
Yes, it is. I mean, no, not if you sign the. I mean, Gosman got like what, 25 a year.
The problem is here. I agree, but you're going to need multiple bullpen arms. You need another bat.
Yeah,
we just talked about the outfield where we have massive questions.
I don't think they'll need another bat.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
I think you can go in with Walker and Newbar, and if you keep Donovan as your outfield, and I think you can put Gorman at second base every day, and when it's short, Goldie, Nolan, Contreras, and then DH. You can sign a cheap DH, or you can have someone come up and do that.
We got Herrera. That's going to be. I was going to ask
Herrera.
you three players I want to get your take on. All right.
Yes.
On what you do at the trade deadline and moving forward. The first one is Matthew Liberatore. What do you do? What if you were
He has no value.
The GM hat, you're just kind of stuck with Matthew Liberatore at this point?
Yeah. He has no value if someone wants him.
What happened? What happened?
Why do you think the Rays don't trade pitching prospects? They traded him. Why do you think?
Well, but I also believe that I don't want to just put it on that. I agree with you, one. But I also think you couldn't have treated a young pitcher worse or handled it worse than the way that they've handled Matthew Liberatore this year. Yeah. It's an absolute, honestly, it's fucking criminal the way that they've handled Matthew Liberatore.
Especially how hot he started too.
And then to sit him for 10 days, then put him in the relief for an inning.
Then short rest.
What are we doing? Like, this is the problem.
They're idiotic, Dad. What they're doing right now.
Zach Gallen's not here. And this is why none of these guys ever flourish. My concern is, Caleb, to be fair, they're going to do the same thing with McGreevy, Graceffo, Tink Hence. That's the problem. They did it with Reyes. Yeah. They've done it with all of them. Every young pitcher we've had outside of Flaherty,
was a different situation, to be fair.
They've done it with. I'm just saying.
But even Flaherty started in the bullpen. They did with Helsley and Hicks. Yeah, I mean, they did. They're gonna have to change. They're gonna have to see something different with that. I don't think Liberatore is very good. I've been saying that for a while.
Yeah, I love him too.
I have nothing against him, and he could be good eventually. I think right now he's not a good major league pitcher. So I don't think the way they handled him was bad. I do agree with that, but I don't think it played much into why he.
Who did they handle worse, Zach Thompson or Matthew Liberatore? Two young lefties that could be helping the team it blows my mind, bro. What they're doing to these young guys.
Yeah, whatever.
And then you throw in Jordan Walker, the way they handled him.
Who's your next guy?
Okay, sorry. Ivan Herrera. That's my next guy. Okay. Because I know there were a lot of talks about wanting to trade him. So that led me to my third guy, which is
Hold on before you go move on.
Oh, sure.
DFA'd.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Okay. Now let me ask you this. That's gonna, he is absolutely beloved in the clubhouse and by the pitching.
Shake it up.
Okay. What's
his clubhouse presence brought this team? 14 games under 500.
Very valid.
Gone.
And honestly, a lot of those pitchers who love him gonna be gone.
If someone wants him, if someone wants Kisner and they want to trade you cash considerations, then go ahead. I like Andrew Kisner, and he might have options left. I don't know. He might. He'd be gone. Not because of him, because I want Ivan Herrera and Wilson Contreras doing here. You know what? You know what I was thinking. Something that I do like moving forward is I think we've heard a lot about how this has kind of been. Oh, we don't have. It's kind of. I think the pitchers have kind of been babied for a long time by Yachty. It's like, oh, Yachty's not here, so we'll blame Wilson. That's why we're pitching poorly. That was kind of the whole thing. I love Jack. I really like Monty. But I like them both a lot, both as humans and as baseball players. I really do, and I'm going to be sad when they get traded. But I do think when those guys are gone and when Waino's gone, it's finally Wilson's team, Wilson's pitching staff, because it's completely new. I like that. And I also like that when that starts to happen in August, I would love if Ivan Herrera was also there and it was those two. And for the rest of the year, I do maybe a 60-40 split, with the two.
I think you're going to see that.
Yeah, that's what I would do. And I have nothing against Andrew Kisner. I really don't. I think he seems like a great guy. I think he's a better player than people give him credit for. But I want to see what Ivan Herrera can bring to this team, because I think he's a stud. Like I think he might be the most overlooked prospect in the whole system.
Which makes you really scratch your head on last year's offseason.
I agree partially, but I also think I would love to have him and Contreras both as my catchers. Two guys that can hit. Like that's a lot of value in that. There are teams that when you have two catchers like that, like the Astros went out and got Vasquez last year from the Red Sox, so they could have him and Maldonado.
Think about the Braves last year. They were DHing.
Right. Braves this year. They have
catcher
Darno
every night.
and Murphy.
Right.
I would love to have both of them.
I meant last year. Last year when they had Darno and Contreras.
Yeah.
Right.
And this year they went out and got Murphy. So I would love to see Herrera get a real run, and I don't mean a run as a starting catcher because he's not the starting catcher, but a real run in terms of he needs to be playing at least twice a week, maybe 3 times. Yeah. Like that's what I'd like to see. And DH Contreras.
Tell you the other concern there. We saw this early in the year. Now all of a sudden, are they going to go back to carrying 3 catchers?
No.
Well, they are now.
No. Drop the DH if someone gets hurt.
That's agreed. We've seen other teams do it, but my problem is they're going to. That's my concern.
No, they said they won't. They said they're not doing that again.
Okay, well, good.
I don't like the Andrew Kisner hate, but I do think it's time.
I agree. One more guy that I do question what the future looks like for him is Alec Burleson. Ollie obviously loves him. I mean, he's given some good at-bats as of late, but he's a 650 OPS guy. He just seems like a guy right now.
No, he doesn't.
By the way, please understand that I don't believe he can't be very good. And I'm not saying that. I'm a big fan of his, but right now he's just a name.
If he is value to another team, then I don't care if they trade him or not, honestly.
Okay.
My honest answer is I don't really care all that much. I do think Burleson can be a solid major league hitter, but if you're a solid major league hitter that also happens to only be able to DH, then you're really not a good big leaguer. Like, if that makes sense. And maybe he ends up being a better than solid. Like, he's been a really good hitter in the minor leagues. I don't really like his approach. I don't like the way he goes about his at-bats. I think he chases too much. He just tries to hit. He doesn't try to do anything productive other than trying to get a single. I don't know. I don't have anything against him, but if someone wanted him, if that was a piece to get a deal over the top, I wouldn't shy away from it.
One thing I would like to tell our listeners, first of all, thank you for listening. We haven't got to this, but if you'd hit that subscribe button, we're almost right at 400. Need to get to 500. Hey, it's a slow and steady climb right now. We really vaulted, and now we're so if you'd hit that subscribe button, we greatly appreciate it. But the other thing that I think people don't understand, and it's such a reactionary sport when over 162 games and over 10 years, it really shouldn't be. But if we trade these young guys and they go on to have success, it can't be like, I am so tired of hearing, look, to me, the only deal that we absolutely should not have made and that we absolutely got fleeced on was the Randy Arozarena deal. There was no reason there, unless it was Mike Schilt driven, which I don't know that he had. I'm not going to say, I don't know if it was.
I heard a good point the other day that I don't think that was why it happened, but I do think it might have been a tiebreaker.
Right. Which
between him and O'Neill.
Nightmare. Did they choose
also O'Neill's talent? We can make an argument here, though, if you're looking at O'Neill and Arozarena at that time, O'Neill's talent was far and away better.
No argument, but Arozarena was a way more talented, had way better minor league numbers than Harrison Bader and Dylan Carlson. So
yeah, but if we also go back to even even a year after that deal, it still looks like Tyler O'Neill was the right decision to keep. And then he's fallen off with injuries. But yeah, I mean, poor.
Well, it didn't, because think about the 2020 playoff run that Randy had.
Okay, but think about 2021 when Tyler O'Neill was an MVP vote getter.
I get it. All I'm saying is that's the only.
I get what you're saying. That's the one that you shouldn't have made it.
The Zach Gallen, Sandy Alcantara, you're only looking at it from 35,000 feet, and hindsight, as we always say, is undefeated, 100%. But what they did was they went out and got a budding superstar at 27. Should they have known about his shoulder? Probably. Did they know?
Did know.
Maybe.
They knew.
Right.
They knew.
Right.
But
again,
the more I think about that, the more I think we can blame them for that. One, for misevaluating their own talent. Two, for pigeonholing Sandy into a reliever, so they felt comfortable trading him. And three, they wanted Stanton. He didn't want to come here. They wanted Yelich. The Marlins said we're not trading him.
Right.
And then
they traded him.
And then they went for Ozuna, the third guy, and traded. I think the package they were going to trade for Stanton.
Right.
It's a bad trade. Like, it's a bad trade.
I agree. But like I said, a lot of people way smarter than me who look at the prospects while they are prospects, not after they become major leaguers. We're not valuing Zach Gallen and Sandy.
Yeah, because
as highly as
you know why? Because we don't develop them.
Right. That's right. So anyway, let's move on. My hope is that if we trade fill in the blank and he goes and becomes a star, but we got a need back, like that's how you have to handle it.
The need we get back better be of equal value.
It has to be. Okay.
Mozeliak has zero wiggle room anymore.
I want to leave that in for you. Who are have you looked, and maybe you haven't, so I might be putting you on the spot here. Have you looked at the teams? I mean, everybody's talking about the Marlins and the Mariners, right? I've heard those teams unbelievable. I mean, in my opinion, when you look around, like the teams are the Orioles, the Marlins, and the Mariners with the top farm systems, and the Rays. Like, obviously, the Rays are always
Rangers have a great farm system,
and the Rangers, right? Agreed. Those six were the teams that I've looked at. I'm not saying there aren't others. I'm simply telling you the ones that I've looked at. All right. Yeah. I'm going to discount the Reds because that's not a trade that's going to probably be made. That's very odd. So,
can I give you a player?
Yeah,
that I'm interested in that was very highly touted when he was drafted, but has really, really been bad since he's been drafted. What would you consider Jack Leiter?
To be fair, that you put me on the spot there, I think you have to. I have not followed, unfortunately, what he's been doing.
Bad. He's been bad.
Probably.
He's been
bad. Is he a double-A for the Rangers?
Yeah, double-A. Let me look. I'm pulling up right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously Seattle.
Double-A, 5 ERA at double-A.
Yeah.
But he's striking out around 11 guys per 9.
What is he, 24 now?
Yeah, and the thing that I'm thinking is I think you might be able to get him for Montgomery and Hicks. You trade both. Like, you might be able to get him and someone else. And I don't know if they want to trade him. I really don't. I was just thinking of a guy with so much potential.
Do the Rangers need Montgomery?
I think they could use another starter.
Okay. I mean, if you look at their top.
Maybe not. I mean, maybe it'd have to be Tommy Edman or an outfielder. They could use an outfielder.
I mean, I'm not saying that first somebody's going to come on.
There could be a fit there.
Every team can use straight pitching. I get it. I'm simply saying I don't know that they pay a ton for a guy like Jordan Montgomery.
What if it was Gallegos and Hicks?
Their biggest need. Huh?
Gallegos and Hicks.
Absolutely. I'd make that trade right now.
I wonder if they would do it. That's what I'm saying. But he's a guy. I just thought of this as he was such a star at Vanderbilt.
Yes.
And I don't know if the Cardinals can unlock anything in any pitcher, to be fair. But I do think there's still something in him. So that is a name that's interesting to me. Those are guys you might need to look at because that's not going to cost you a Donovan or a Gorman to get him. And then the names that are more guys that I think you would all kind of be selling and buying them. You know what I mean? Like you'd be buying that person.
I think we're all in agreement that's what we're looking at doing.
Yeah, it's a hybrid. It's not a buyer seller. That's why I hate when people like the Cardinals are sellers. No, they're not. They're not selling. They're not like going to sell Paul Goldschmidt. They're not the A's. I think Brian Wu, I really, really like him. That'd be my number one pick in all of baseball from who I'd want. That's realistically you could get because you're not getting Yuri Perez. Obviously, that'd be number one. It's not going to happen. So he's such a stud. His fastball is great. He's everything the Cardinals don't have in a pitcher, and I would love him because you could have him and Hintz over the next however many years, and I would very much be in favor of that. That would cost you Gorman or Donovan plus.
Yeah,
because
why are the Mariners looking like that's my always
because they have Kirby, Gilbert, Castillo,
Robbie Ray coming back,
and there's another one. I'm missing somebody. Kirby, Gray, Castillo, Robbie Ray.
Miller.
Miller, Brash, like Matt Brash is another one I would look at. They've kind of designated him to a bullpen role. He was a really good minor league pitcher. Bobby Miller's another guy. Logan Gilbert's a guy. Apparently there's going to be the Mariners need offense, or they're not going anywhere this season, right? So they're
Hancock's the other guy there, right?
yes,
Emerson
they're kind of.
Hancock.
I think the Cardinals are kind of in the situation. The Mariners are in the situation the Cardinals are in with how lopsided their talent is on each side of the ball, but they just haven't fallen to such a horrible place because, as we know, pitching is what wins you games. I think there's a clear fit there because they need a second baseman.
By the
They
way,
need offense.
our apologies. We forgot their best pitcher, and that's Luis Castillo.
I said Luis Castillo.
Oh, okay. My apologies. I didn't hear you say that. All right.
Yeah, obviously,
the
he's a
Marlins
stud.
are the other team. I think the other team that I didn't talk about there,
Braxton Garrett.
Diamondbacks. I think the Diamondbacks are going to be intriguing. I think
Brandon
they have
Pfaadt.
I think that's going to be intriguing to see what they do. I just don't. I can't give a name of anybody because I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know.
I'll give you some. I like Brandon Pfaadt a lot. From the Diamondbacks if they're wanting to trade him. I think he's good. And then from the Marlins, I like Braxton Garrett a lot. And I like Edward Cabrera a lot if he's healthy. So those would be the two. I like Max Meyer a lot. He's injured right now. I think he'll be back next year at some point. He's a guy I would look at because you're kind of buying a little low maybe on Max Meyer because he's getting Tommy John surgery. But we know Tommy John surgery has kind of been perfected, so I'm not too worried about him coming back from it. But if you're going for 2024, you probably don't want a Tommy John guy because that's tough.
No.
But he's a guy I'd look at. They have so many pitchers like Luzardo. If they have any inclination to trade him, he has less service time. But the Marlins and the Mariners. I think they're going to make a trade with the Mariners. I really do. I think it's almost too perfect of a fit. They need a second baseman. They need power. Not even power. They just need any kind of offense. And we need pitching, and they have almost too much of it. Like, it's too perfect. The thing I'm worried about is they're going to give up a Donovan or something like that, and then only get Bobby Miller or something in return. Not Bobby Miller. What Miller? What's his Miller? Bryce Miller. Bryce Miller in return. And I don't think that's enough. That's not enough. That's not equal value to me. But I think it's almost a perfect match. I really do. But I think if you want Brian Wu, or Logan Gilbert, one of the two, which I really do, you're going to have to give up something that you're not going to like. Like, I think might be Nolan Gorman that they'd want.
Yeah, and you look at what the Marlins did. I was looking just to get the names right. Noble Meyer, knew that one, by the way. But
Great name.
Since our last name is Noble, and then we do have the Meyer side of the family as well, works out well. And then Thomas White, I couldn't think of his name. Two high school guys. I mean, right off the bat, that they went after those two guys. That was pretty
Noble
big.
Meyer went 10, right?
10, yeah. And it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be interesting to watch. I think that, to be fair, I will rescind what I said earlier. I do think the Cardinals could compete in 24 with the right moves. I do believe that.
You have to be aggressive.
I wish that they would be aggressive in the international market more. Yamamoto is the guy that I would go after big time.
He's so good. He's so good.
Sasaki, we don't know what he's going to do yet. Right?
I think he'll be there for at least another year.
Yeah, could be. But I just think
he's so good.
When you're looking at the globality, that's not a word.
Globality.
There we go. Globality. Whatever.
I don't think that's a word either.
I don't either. But the globalness of the game, it just feels like when you look at the Cardinals, like, honestly, you look around, you talked about the home run derby, but look at the All-Star game. I mean, it's a global game now. we're seeing it in the NBA. Like, and the superstars in Major League Baseball, for the most part, are international players. And that's a market that I just feel like DeWitt said he didn't want to spend the money on Luis Robert. I know it would be expensive. I know it's
that one made sense. That one made sense to me. Just because he got so much.
It would have been a lot. I get it. I'm just saying it would have only been money. That's my point. You're not giving up players. You're
Tatis is a bad one.
First of all, that's the one thing I think that fans we have to quit letting Bill DeWitt Jr. off the hook when we say it's too expensive. He's a fucking billionaire. All right. He has the money.
True, but you only have a certain amount of international money to spend a year.
He had the money to spend it. He chose to go in a separate direction. That's all I'm saying.
Luis Robert as well, if we're being fair, very inconsistent and never plays.
Not an argument. I'm simply saying I'd rather take a risk on one of these guys.
Yeah, I agree.
We had a Rosarina. We had
Tatis wasn't even a risk. He was a safe prospect.
Like
he had the bloodline of his dad being a great player.
Worked out for 3
He had
teams
the connection
on
to St.
request.
Louis. He wanted to be here. He was a stud. He's wiry as all get out. Everyone loved him at the time.
Yeah,
But
they're gonna have to
that was
change that.
Do you think he would have done steroids if he was a Cardinal?
No clue.
I don't think so. I really don't.
I mean, come on, because Tony's not here. Is that why?
No, no. I just don't think Yachty would have let him do it.
I mean, we were kind of the mecca for the roids boys there for a while. I feel like, but
That is true.
yeah. I mean, let's be honest. But
Ryan Ludwig had 4 hits.
Ryan,
I said Ryan.
I think
His name will be the show now. Shout out Ryan.
Okay, with the Cardinals, anything else you want to hit on with the Cardinals before we move forward here? Besides before
One last
we
thing.
draft.
One last thing, and then we could probably got to go a little quickly here because we're
Yep.
we're going long. But what are you watching the second half for, and are you watching it?
Okay,
And why?
are you talking about just the Cardinals?
The Cardinals, yeah.
Okay, well, first off, I'm going to watch obviously the next 2 weeks. To
I mean the
see
games.
I'll be watching the Orioles.
Okay, your answer sucks. This is my answer.
The
I've been
Orioles and the
watching other
Rangers.
baseball too.
Those are the teams I'm going to be watching. Also,
By the way, Rangers
by the
sneaky
way,
haven't won a
love watching
series
the
since
Reds.
May.
But is it not wild to you that the Reds have a worse team ERA than the Cardinals and are 11 and a half games in front of them? That's the wildest stat in the world. That's your anti-pitching stat.
That's bad. It's bad. Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, they're not going anywhere. Maybe they'll trade for someone we have. I don't. I'll take Ellie De La Cruz.
I love that kid, man. I love him.
He's awesome. He's awesome. My answer is I will be watching solely for the young guys in their development. So I'm watching Gorman. I'm watching Donovan. Herrera. Hopefully he's still there for me to watch. Walker. There's a lot of young guys that I think you can be excited about. I think Mason Wynn should be up after the trade deadline.
I was going to ask you about that before.
I think Ivan Herrera should be up as well. And there's something else I wanted to say. Whatever. Let's move on to the.
Can I add a name to your list? I'd like to see Moises Gomez get a chance. And let's just see what he can do in.
Why not?
First of all,
why would you not?
See, here's what I'll say. And it feels like the Cardinals never agree with me on this, but let's give him 40 games. Let's not just give him 10 at bats, and if he's 0 for 10, we take him out. Let's give him 40 games and let's see what we got if you're not going to trade him. I mean, because at some point you have to see. They didn't do it with Luke and Baker. I understand why. I get it. But you have to figure out at some point what you have with
what about Juan Yepez?
It feels like he's a forgotten guy, and I think he's going to get traded.
Trade him, please.
Yeah.
I love Juan. Trade him too. And get him in an organization that's going to give him at bat.
And wait,
trade him to Philadelphia.
I was thinking Baltimore, but okay.
Philadelphia, let him go play first base there every day.
I was thinking Baltimore to go play first base.
They have Ryan Mountcastle.
Yeah, but isn't he hurt right now? And then they talk. I think he's hurt, or maybe
I don't know. Maybe he is.
Maybe he's back. I haven't been watching as many Orioles games.
Yeah, I haven't paid too much attention. All right, let's go to the draft.
Okay. Well, there was one more thing I wanted to say that I was going to watch for. Oh, just one thing I want to hit on really quickly. You would bring Mason Wynn up and play him every day. You wouldn't just let him finish out the year at AAA. Okay, I agree.
In August and September, he'd be out.
Yeah, I agree. Him and Gomez, I would have in there every day.
And I'd say, hey, you're batting ninth every single day. We're not moving you up. We're not sending you down. You're playing every day for 2 months.
Right. Can you imagine the Cardinals fans if Juan Yepez goes somewhere and is an all-star next year?
I hope he is. I love Juan.
Why?
But he's never going to get that chance here. He's never going to get that chance here.
Okay. So let's get to the draft, because here's the thing about the draft that you and I know. We don't know. That's the only thing
I know about 3 guys that were drafted.
You don't.
No, Skeens, Langford, and Cruz, I think, are all going to be stars.
I think so.
Everyone else, I don't know.
But they said the same thing about Todd Van Poppel, who was like the #1 baseball recruit of all time. And
I also really like Rhett Lauder. I think he's really good.
I watch a lot of college baseball living down here in the LSU world, and especially the SEC. And if you look, obviously the SEC very well represented. LSU 13 players drafted, 5 other commits. I think.
Here's the Cardinals.
LSU drafted. It's unbelievable what Johnson's and them are doing down here. Like, it's unbelievable. But and that was Mullen. I mean, that's gone back forever. But it's going to be interesting to see, because it's so interesting to watch the comments. Why didn't they draft all pitching? Like, this was a college hitting heavy draft. And then you saw it go. Chase Davis was a steal at number 21.
Oh my gosh.
On paper. That's all you can say right now, because we have no idea how he develops. We have no clue. We hope they'll all become major leaguers, make a ton of money, and become superstars. Chances are they're not. There's 20 rounds. Doubt that happens. However, that's our hope. But Chase Davis to drop to 21, I was so excited.
You know what I love about Chase Davis? What I love about the Cardinals drafting Chase Davis. One, they didn't do what you just said, which is panic and sign a pitcher and get a pitcher just to get one.
Yep.
Kirsten Waldrop was there. The fact that he fell makes me think a lot of people are worried about him because his fastball gets killed. So I'm
Yes.
really glad they didn't just panic and take him, even though he might end up being a stud for the Braves. I don't know. But two, they never take college bats. It's very rare they take college bats in the first round. And I don't remember what was the last college bat they took in the first round? Have they done one? I don't know if they've taken one under Randy Flores. I really don't.
I don't know.
They don't do it. They shy away from it. I'm glad that they did that. Chase Davis was a guy that if 2020 the pandemic didn't happen, he would have been a top couple round draft pick out of high school probably. And he's really refined his swing. And the thing I want to highlight a couple things here because what he did in at Arizona this year was just like insane. Like he was insane this year. 489 OBP, 742 slug, struck out Struck out 40 times, walked 43. Like people don't know this guy's strikeout rate. He walked more than he struck out. He hit 21 jacks. He has the prettiest swing. He looks like Carlos Gonzalez. He's a spinning image of him when he swings.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like they have the same swing. I've never seen that's the most similar swing I've ever seen in my life. And here's what I love about him. So his first year he came up, he didn't play very much. He played 27 games. That was it. It was fine. Last in 2022, had a 997 OPS, but people were worried about he was striking out a ton. He struck out 66 times, which is only a 22% rate. But in college for a draft prospect, that's pretty high because we know that's going to ramp up when you get to the pros. He said that he saw an issue and he fixed it, and he dropped his strikeout percent to 14%. He struck out 26 less times. So he dropped it by a third, basically, from year to year, and put up a 1231 OPS his senior year.
Yeah.
And he slugged 750. Like the guy was a beast. And he has more swag than anyone the Cardinals have ever drafted in their history.
Yes, he does.
Like he's probably, I saw Kyle said he's the swaggiest player they've drafted since Randy Rose. I mean, they've had an organization since Randy Rosarena, which is definitely true. I think it was a pick that was a little bit out of their comfort zone, maybe because he's a college bat. He doesn't have the Cardinal, even though when the kid talks, he sounds like an awesome kid, like sounds very humble. You want to be able to tell by his bat flips, but he sounds like a very humble kid. I'm really excited. I predicted it too, which was cool. I said that they were going to draft him. I was very excited. I was at Texas Roadhouse, and when his name popped up, I was trying to read. I was watching the draft.
Were you eating rolls?
No, I was on. We were about to leave, and the draft was on, and I tried to read Manfred's lips, and it looked like he said something weird. So I was like, "Oh man, it wasn't Chase Davis." And then the name popped up, and I audibly gasped. So I am very excited. This is one of my favorite first round picks they've had in a long time. So I think it was a great pick, even if he ends up being. I don't think he will be, but if he ends up being a dud, I still think it was the right pick for their slot, and I think it was a really good choice.
Yeah, I was shocked that he fell. To be fair, I know that a lot of people were predicting that, and honestly.
Me,
like I said, didn't you? Kareem was on it as well. I was just shocked that he fell that far.
It was such a loaded draft.
Yeah, agreed.
There are people who think he was legitimately the third best college bat in the draft, behind Cruz and Langford.
Yeah,
because those two were just absolutely head and shoulders above everybody else. Those are two of the most polished draft prospects we've seen in a long time. The top three in this draft, Dad, would be number one picks in every other year. All of them.
absolutely.
Like those three are incredible. By the way, shout out Detroit for making one of the worst draft selections you can at number 3. That was absolutely idiotic, but horrible.
Well, no, I don't know if it was
horrible. It's horrible. Even if Max Clark becomes good, I think Langford has a higher ceiling and a higher floor. And stupid. It was stupid to me because I think that the kid that went 5th overall, Johnson, is that his name?
Yeah.
I think he's better than Max Clark. It's not a shot at Max Clark because I think he was the 5th best prospect. It's not about who they took; it's about who they didn't take. You know what I mean?
You asked a great question. About
who the first round draft pick was,
and
I have no idea.
Sure. I mean, was he a first round pick?
Was Bader a first round pick?
No, he was. I don't think he was a first round pick. Wisdom. I might be. You know what? It might be. The kid from Oklahoma State, Brett Wallace. Who? That might be the last one.
Brett Wallace, yeah. Yeah, they don't take first round.
In the Matt Holliday trade.
They've really shied away from it. I don't really know why. I almost think they like getting younger guys because they can really implant their philosophy into them. while they're at that age. I think that might be what it is. And they've
Colton
also gone
Wong?
pitcher heavy in recent years.
Colton Wong.
20, what was that? 20, not 2010, 2011?
20. I'm sorry, this thing's so bad. We're trying to use Wikipedia as a nightmare sometimes.
I'll find it.
2011.
2011. Okay. I can't believe he was a first round pick.
He went number 22.
It's a good first round pick to take.
Oh,
Yeah.
James Ramsey in 2012. That's it. There's your answer. James Ramsey out of
one.
Florida State. That's your answer.
That worked out well.
Okay, anyway,
James
you
Ramsey
guys-
scared him off from college bats.
hey, Quinn Matthews. I'm incredibly intrigued to see what happens with Quinn Matthews, just because obviously all
I want to see if his arm's still
Stanford-
attached.
That's what I was going to say.
He better not throw a singular pitch this year. He better
won't.
be.
Yeah.
He better be sitting on his couch.
Honeyman was the one that confused me from Boston College.
Like it a lot.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, let's hope.
I really like it. I think
Um,
he was a guy. Was this Brett Honeyman? Is that his name? What's his first name?
Brett.
No, Brett Honeywell.
No,
Is it Brett Honeyman?
Travis.
Travis. Yeah, he was a guy a lot of people thought was gonna go in the first 2 rounds. At Boston College,
They were good this
they're
year.
not.
Boston College had a
Yeah,
really good year.
From what I've read, okay, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you and say I didn't know much about this guy before he was
neither.
drafted. From what I've read from guys I really respect, Kareem and Kyle and a bunch of guys online that I recommend you follow on Twitter if you want to know more about these guys. They were very excited and said that he has a lot of potential. The Cardinals went really heavy with guys that hit the ball very hard this year. A lot of college polished guys that hit the ball very hard. They had a specific thing I think they were looking for. And they got a lot of outfielders. I think there was a reason for getting a lot of outfielders. One, they have a deficit in their farm system, but also I think they might be trading some outfielders at some point. So I like the moves that they made. I like almost every pick they made, to be honest. I think a lot of pitchers they got were meh.
Getting Levinson from Miami, that dude.
That was a good, yes.
Yeah, that was a good one. They got obviously the Worley kid, the pitcher from.
He's got some really great stuff. He had some. So that Stuff Plus thing. Saros has.
Yeah.
He was like in the top 20 in all of college baseball, ranked in it with his stuff. Worley was.
He's evidently filled.
People thought he was going to go in the first 2 rounds, and then he got injured. So he fell really far, and the Cardinals snagged him. So that might be a steal. Like that might honestly be one that you look back on and say that was a steal.
The Sullivan kid's the one I'm intrigued by. The big first baseman that they drafted from Troy. Obviously, I was very geeked that they signed and drafted Braden Jobert from down here, right across. I mean, literally, he lives right down the road in Slidell. Huh?
I think he's going to sign, but he hasn't signed yet.
No, you don't know with him yet. Like, I mean,
they said
about him. He went to not highly recruited out of high school down here. I mean, went to Delgado, went to Nicholls State down here, then ends up at LSU. Dude is a great outfielder and can hit. Like, he hit 6th for the team in any other, probably on most other college lineups. He's hitting 2nd or 3rd. Like, I think
he's going to sign from what I've read.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they pick what's his kid's Christian, whatever his name
Cam
there
Johnson.
at the end. Yeah, Cam Johnson. I was saying Christian Little. By the way, shout out, did get drafted, but he's going to LSU, guys.
Yeah, he put Tigers emojis yesterday.
He's going there. Yeah, he's going there. Also, to be fair, the other guy that really got me geeked up was Trey Richardson from TCU. Obviously, we saw what he did in the.
He's cool.
But talk about swag and a kid who can play. I'm intrigued to just kind of watch his path and see how he does.
Yeah, he'll be a depth middle infield piece at the worst, which you like to have.
Right.
At the worst, yeah. He has some talent and he's a fun player. We were watching that game. We were in Texas at the time when he hit those home runs. Yeah. He is a stud. We got a lot of guys that I was like, I saw that guy in the College World Series. Like there were a lot of guys that had big moments in the World Series that we took.
That's why when everybody was on, I thought we needed pitching. What about the pitching? That's not what people don't realize. NBA draft, NHL is a little bit different, but NBA, MLB, those guys are on a roster NFL, NBA on a roster the next year. These guys are going to be in the minors for a while. But when you go get some of these college level bats, like there is no doubt that, we heard this a lot.
I think Chase Davis will be up in 2024.
SEC baseball as essentially high A. That's what they equate the talent level at. So these guys aren't just coming in raw high school outfielders. These guys are ready to probably make a jump, start at Peoria, and then move on up from there.
And here's the thing about minor leagues these days. Like a guy like, and by the way, I meant 2025 for Chase Davis, not 24. But he's a guy that he could go up. He might be at high A this year. And if he kills it,
Yeah.
then he goes to double A. And when you're at double A, you can be called up at any time. That's when
Yep.
when you get to double A, you can be up at any time. So he could be up sooner than a lot of people think. We'll see how he develops. Everyone develops differently. I liked the way that they went, and I don't remember what I was trying to say. Oh, if they were picking first overall, and we're like, we really need pitching, and they chose Cruz over Skeens, then you could kind of be like, probably
Right.
should have taken Skeens there because you need
Right.
pitching. But
Yep.
when
Shout out
you're
to those two guys.
Yo, awesome. When you're drafting 21st, you're not looking for your need. You're looking for the best player available. They thought it was Chase Davis. I agree. I thought it was Chase Davis, and I'm glad they went that way.
It was super cool for like being down here and getting to know a lot of the people. I'm lucky enough to work at the Audubon Golf Course right here in the heart of New Orleans. We get a lot of former LSU players in. We get some of their coaches in who come to New Orleans or live down here. It's pretty cool to get to talk to them. And I will say it again, the one guy that everybody told me when I asked him, and I'm talking about 4 or 5 guys that I've asked who either played there or coached there, who's the best player you've ever seen at LSU? It was unanimous, and there wasn't a thought. It was Dylan Cruz. And I just, that says a lot to him. His work ethic is unbelievable. His family sells their house, buys an RV to follow him around. That's incredible. And I think it's super cool that Gavin Dugas from right up the road here at Homa also going to be drafted by the Nats. They're best friends. They live together. I mean, I think that is awesome. I'm so happy for these guys down here at LSU. I've really kind of adopted them now. Sorry about U of I. Sorry about all of that. I love those guys.
We suck. We suck bad.
Really adopted since I'm down here in the heart of it. It's fun to watch, and also cool to see. I think 4 or 5 of the guys from LSU right here in New Orleans. So to see that. Trey Morgan, happy for him. I didn't think he would go that early. A lot of people projected him 5th, 6th round. He goes in the 3rd round of the Rays. That's or late 2nd, I guess, to the Rays. So awesome for him. Here's what I will say to Cardinal fans. The next 2 weeks, even though, I mean, we always get excited for the trade deadline, it's going to be a little bit different this year. However, maybe more exciting that we're not bringing in John Lester and J.A. Happ. No offense to Jose Quintana or Chris Stratton, but maybe a little bit more exciting that
you leave Jose Quintana out of your mouth. That's our ace.
No, I said no disrespect. I'm saying that you didn't let me finish, Mr. Interrupter.
Not when you finish. You stay away from my boy.
How much caffeine have you had? Anyway, that we'll be bringing in some young guys to infuse, hopefully, a rotation and a full pitching staff that needs a massive blood transfusion. I don't know if that's the right words, but you know what I mean. Everything all right there?
Yeah, we need to wrap this up.
Okay. All right. So let's get out of here. Hey, watch the Cardinals this weekend, but also go check out some teams around Major League Baseball. There's a lot of good baseball being played that is not the Cardinals, and some great storylines. So everybody have a fantastic day. Hit that little subscribe button. Tell a friend. Go Cards.